Amid winter's shadow and relentless Russian skies, President Zelensky races from Athens to Paris with a lifeline, a €2 billion gas deal securing Ukrainian warmth, and now a historic defense pact. In Paris, Macron stands beside him, unlocking the door to 100 advanced Rafale jets and next-generation air defenses. Not just promises, blueprints for survival. As energy flows through Greece and arms through France, Europe answers, can resilience break the stalemate? Winter waits for no one. I'm Hani Seif. Let's get in focus. Le Monde has reported that France solidifies its strategic support for Ukraine as President Macron and President Zelensky signed a significant letter of intent. This accord paves the way for Kiev to potentially acquire up to 100 French-built Rafale fighter jets and associated sophisticated military hardware. This long-term agreement, projected over a decade, is a major military boost for Ukraine amid continued Russian aggression and recent battlefield setbacks. Crucially, the deal also encompasses the acquisition of advanced air defense systems, radars, and drones to enhance Ukrainian capabilities. The accord highlights France's commitment to enabling Ukraine to defend itself, marking the first time Kiev has moved to secure the Rafale jets, the crown jewel of French aviation. This move underscores the ongoing diplomatic and defense cooperation in the face of escalating conflict. For a better focus, we're joined from Paris by Dr. Majid Boudin, the international law professor. Dr. Boudin, thank you for joining us here on In Focus. How does the French letter of intent for up to 100 Rafale jets fundamentally redefine the strategic balance of power in the Black Sea and Eastern European airspace?
The letter by itself is just a letter, as we say, but it's a commitment. It's a commitment to support Ukraine against the Russian aggression, because France is believing that, and all the European countries, that the aggression of Russia against Ukraine, it's an aggression against the whole European Union and the whole European continent. And therefore, they wanted to stop this, whatever is the position of the US administration now. And they wanted to show that they have an autonomous approach, and they will continue to support them. This is a very important signal towards the President Putin, to tell him that they will not let down Ukraine, and they will continue to support Ukraine because they want to defend their own interests and their own space. And they want to recall that this conflict will be resolved under international law and not by the use of force, whatever is the importance of this force. We can see that now we are coming, we have winter coming. The situation will be worse than now, and it's worsening because it will be very difficult to resist in winter time. The Europeans have now the understanding and the feeling that they did not react quickly to stop this aggression, which is now lasting for 3 years, and they wanted to catch up time, because the more we let time go by, the more it will be difficult to stop this creeping and this creeping aggression. And this is why it's now time for Europe to stop this, and the French decision is a very important strategically.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Rafale fighter jet agreement it's been given a 10-year projected timeline. But what is the tangible, immediate defense impact of this Rafale commitment on Ukraine's urgent needs for the upcoming winter?
This is a framework, but this framework has also its own mechanism, and the mechanism is to supply Ukraine with an air defense system to stop this aggression, and especially by these drones and these airstrikes. And now the battle is a battle of the to control the air and to control this hybrid attacks. So the matter is going on, and the supply is going on the field every time, every moment now, and it will be intensified. So it will have a lower impact before wintertime and during wintertime.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of frameworks, what are the precise legal and financial mechanisms required to translate the promises of SAMP-T air defenses and drone co-production into the operational assets on the ground?
It will be cooperation because Ukraine has very important skills from the Soviet Union engineering system, which was very performative, and so and they have a very important aircraft industry, and so they are going to rehabilitate the facilities in Ukraine, the skills of the people, and they will supply with technical advisors and production on site in Ukraine. Mm-hmm. How it will be on the financial side. This will be compensated by what the European Union will take on the interests of the funds of the Russian funds, which are held under custody now in the European Union, and especially in the European banking system compensation. This compensation is in Brussels, and it's raising very important strategical issues and legal issues, and how the European Union can take some money from these funds which are belonging to the Russians. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, Ukraine is entitled to claim compensation for the aggression, and this is a very plain matter. Russia has made an aggression. It has made damages. It has caused damages. The causal link between the damages and it's the cause, which is the aggression, is established clearly. So the European Union is founding their decision on this probability and this evidence, let's say, so they can take at least from the interest to finance the needs of Ukraine, to obtain a supply. Why? To stop the aggression. And this comes from a legal aspect in the obligation of Ukraine to minimize and to minor and to diminish the harm it is receiving from Russia. And this mitigation obligation will allow technically and legally Ukraine to put its hands on Russian money around the world.
Yes.
And by these techniques, they could supply and they could finance these very important strategical supply of the 100 Rafale aircrafts.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Boudin, will this major long-term arms deal signed amid domestic challenges in Kiev establish a new precedent for Western security guarantees, particularly influencing the wavering US engagement?
Well, here there is a kind of competition, and there is also a kind of understanding with the U.S. administration. So the U.S. administration, they know that this deal is going on, and they cannot stop it, and they will uh, agree to it in a way, and this is why there is a cooperation, because also the President Trump, he doesn't want Russia to invade more territories in Ukraine and to not make an escalation, and therefore there is an agreement, in fact, but there is a competition because the Europeans are they are facing the Russian aggression on their own territory, on the European territory, while America, they have an ocean between Russia and America, if we take it from the Atlantic side. And so there is an agreement, in fact.
How significant then, speaking of the winter that is coming, how significant is the Greece-Ukraine liquefied natural gas deal via the Alexandropoli vertical corridor in breaking Russia's energy leverage and bolstering Kiev's long-term energy sovereignty?
Here, Kiev is trying to obtain, now they have made a deal with the US through Greece. So the US are now supplying with US gas Ukraine, and Greece has established this supply chain. This is to circumvent and to not put Kiev under the pressure of Russia, because in wintertime the need of gas is higher, and Russia could play it against Ukraine to make it under in a very bad situation. So, and they will be dependent. So there are tools that they are used to obtain oil from different countries, but now specifically the US are playing their own cards, and
yes.
they have obtained this deal, and this deal also will be financed by Ukraine partially at least on the funds of Russia. So this is the game, how it is played, and Russia, if they go into an international court, they must face a counterclaim on damages. So this is why they don't want to go there, and they want to use only the arms to resolve the problem, and they think they can do it, but now they believe they know that they are not able to do it.
Yes.
They are fearing to go to an international court.
Well, Dr. Boudin, because we're running out of time, I have one final question now. What are the international law ramifications of France and Britain preparing a coalition of the willing for a potential deployment of a multinational force following a ceasefire?
This is it has its own foundation under international law, and it's allowed by international law if Ukraine has agreed, and Ukraine has agreed to that. So there is an agreement between several countries, and this is a treaty. And if there is a treaty, it's legal, and it's binding the parties to this treaty, but only these parties. But it is sufficient to protect Ukraine from further aggression, or the continuity of this aggression launched by Russia.
That was Dr. Majid Boudin, the international law professor. Dr. Boudin, thank you very much for your special insights. Now, from Paris to the Senkaku, the world watches as one crisis fuels another. While Europe arms Ukraine, East Asia ignites. China's Coast Guard patrols disputed waters, its airlines cancel flights, and its words turn lethal. Turkey's new prime minister dared to say Taiwan's survival is Japan's concern. Now, suitcases are weapons, tourism is warfare, and the Pacific holds its breath. According to the New York Times, tensions between China and Japan are sharply escalating following Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's suggestion of military intervention if Beijing moves against Taiwan. China has reacted aggressively, employing economic warnings, diplomatic snubs, and increased naval patrols near disputed islands. Beijing's calculated response aims to deter Japan through maximalist pressure, asserting China's military confidence and global power status. However, this coercive approach risks a severe backlash, fueling accusations of bullying in Japan and increasing international awareness of China's economic threats. The crisis highlights deep regional divisions, forcing Japan to dispatch a senior diplomat to Beijing amid economic concerns. This dispute over Taiwan's defense reveals the high geopolitical stakes and the difficult challenge of managing rising tensions in East Asia. Asia Times has highlighted that the recent statement by Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi suggesting intervention if China blockades Taiwan has overtly exposed the long simmering tensions in East Asia. Tokyo views a move on Taiwan as an existential threat, challenging Beijing's rise and putting its reunification goal under unprecedented international scrutiny. The core of the conflict lies in China's claim to exceptionalism, its pursuit of regional dominance without offering a global security framework like the US. This self-centered approach, evident in its rejection of past US compromise offers, breeds anxiety among neighbors like Japan and complicates its attempts to integrate peacefully. Ultimately, the dispute over Taiwan determines if Asia will accept China's rising power, creating a vicious cycle of fear and geopolitical alignment against Beijing. China's assertive posture risks a collective counter-reaction, making its position vulnerable despite its industrial strength and military buildup. And to shed more light about the last updates and the developments in the ongoing dispute between China and Japan, we're joined from Beijing by Mr. Neder Ronghuan, the writer and political analyst. Mr. Ronghuan, welcome to In Focus. Did Prime Minister Takaichi's survival threats, warning in Taiwan, fundamentally end Japan's strategic ambiguity, or was it merely political signaling?
Thank you very much for having me. I think it's a very dangerous shift in the Japan's policy. As we know that Japan is a defeated country in the World War II, and it's written in its constitution after the World War II that Japan is not allowed to have the military attack capacity, ability, and also cannot do any exercise any overseas military operation. It's called the Constitution of Peace. But in these years, and it's all the new prime minister of Japan is it's the first time that formally leads these kinds of remarks, and that is and also about the about her remarks on the Japanese commitment of three non-nuclear principles: not possessing or not producing and not allowing the introduction of nuclear weapons into the Japanese territory. But it's also in its remarks it break these three non-nuclear principles.
Yes.
And also on its remarks is have the rights to send military to do the military operations overseas to outside Japan, that it causes we can see that the survival threatening situation is if we review the history, that every time from 1931 to 1933, every time those narratives paved the way for Japanese invasion of neighboring countries, is excuse for Japan to start the war, even with the Americans in 1941. It's called when it began the Pacific War with American forces. So it's a very clear shift in the Japan's defense policy. Also is left the restraints for export weapons to the other countries.
Yes.
All these actions that Japan do now is a very dangerous signal that it reopened the wounds that the Asia countries which were occupied by Japan in the World War II. So I think it's a very dangerous signal, and it's Japan's ends its peace constitution of peace.
Yes. Well, how seriously does Beijing view Takaichi's remarks, the statement, as a policy shift that fundamentally challenges China's core interests on Taiwan sovereignty? China's travel warning, the airline refund campaign, is it an act of diplomatic pressure, or does it constitute a new form of economic warfare against Japan?
Of course, the wrongful remarks openly violate the One China principle, which is also the basic principle that the two countries agree to adhere to when the two countries start building the diplomatic relationships. And it's also violating the four China-Japan political documents and the basic laws of the international relations. So it's because Taiwan is inalienable part of China, and it's about a challenge to the China's interest, and China firmly opposes and will by no means tolerate such remarks. In order China is how to resolve the Taiwan question and realize national reunification is a matter of the Chinese people to decide, and it's not allowed it's not no interference by any external force. So these remarks is openly provocation to the One China principle, and also to the Chinese and Japanese relationship, and the post-World War II international order. So it's it's broke the red line for China. So it's very dangerous.
Well, what is then the geopolitical cost for China's image in Asia from the simultaneous escalation, Senkaku naval patrols, and the heightened military activity near Taiwan?
Okay, I also want to say that China and don't want to use the economic measures as a weapon, but it's have many measures of counter measures to the Japanese provocation. So there is a diplomatic countermeasures and economic countermeasures and also military countermeasures. So, but which the I think there is not geopolitical cost for China's image because every country know that when it starts the diplomatic relationship with China, it must recognize that the one China principle, and there are more than 184 countries in the world support one China principle. So it's very normal that China to enhance its military activities and military power to defend, to safeguard its sovereignty and territorial integrity. So I think it's very normal for China to do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, how is China's deployment of non-military coercive tools like tourism and curbs intended to pressure Japan's political will and dampen the economic confidence? Do you think it will have an effect on Japan?
Yes, we see that China is Japan's largest trading partner and the second largest export destination, and also is China is the biggest sources of materials for the Japanese market. So I think we have seen that there is a sharp down in the market in Japan because of the Chinese countermeasures like stop importing the Japanese films, and also stop because not stop warning Chinese travelers to travel to Japan. We all in 2024, Chinese people are the first in consumer in the Japanese tourist market. So it's availably that we can see that there is a damage on the economic in Japan, but it's not China's fault because we cannot do the business while the other part are boarding us.
Mr. Ronghuan, now, is this escalating crisis fundamentally about Taiwan's status, or is it primarily a test of the resolve of the US-Japan alliance for future regional contingencies?
I think what Japan do now is also to meet the needs of the United States. So they all want to use the Taiwan question to prevent the Chinese race of the Chinese development. But this, as I say, that the Taiwan question is a red line for China to do any for China to develop any relationship with any countries in the world, that China will defend for safeguard its sovereignty and in territorial integrity, whatever the price is.
Mr. Nether Ronghuan, the writer and political analyst, thank you very much, sir, for joining us from Beijing. Ladies and gentlemen, from French military support to Ukraine to an apparent standoff between China and Japan over Taiwan, the world political developments escalate across continents. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this episode of In Focus. I'm Henny Seith. Thank you for joining us.